Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the series of short videos that I'm shooting to share with you tidbits and stories about the writing and the research of my book, The Gambler Wife. In a previous video, I shared with you some of the research documents that I drew on, letters and diaries, memoirs, unpublished material, archival materials. I truly had access to a treasure trove of documents that allowed me to paint really very rich portraits of the day-to-day life of the Dostoyevskys throughout their lifetimes. Well, I also took a research trip to Germany in the summer of 2018 and visited many of the towns that the Dostoyevskys lived in, including the casino towns that figure so prominently in the second part of my book. Many of the scenes in the second part of the book actually take place in the casinos and show Dostoyevsky in the heat of his addiction and Anna desperately trying to lure him away from the roulette tables. There's even a moment where Anna herself is tempted and in fact goes into one of the casino in Baden-Baden and gambles herself in secret without Dostoyevsky's knowledge. And so what was fascinating is not just kind of seeing these places and feeling them and really sensing the ambiance and the culture, which in many cases, like in Baden-Baden, is very similar today to what it was back then. Baden-Baden is still the place where many very wealthy Russian oligarchs have a second home or have settled down after they retire. It's a very quiet, charming spa town on the border of the Black Forest in Western Germany. And the casino where Dostoyevsky gambled is still an operational casino, and it has been preserved. A couple of the rooms in particular have been preserved to look much the way that they did in 1867. And so in my book, for instance, I'll have a picture. I know this is not very high tech, but here's a picture of the main room in the Baden-Baden casino. And I visited that casino, and the room that I saw looked very much like the picture. And so some of the things that Anna described about where Dostoyevsky gambled and the parts of the room and what he saw in the room and the plush decor and the clock on the wall and all of these little details, many of them are still there. And so that just lent an uncommon intimacy to my description of that casino, of those scenes. And it was really quite eerie, in fact, to walk into that space and experience with my own eyes what Dostoyevsky and Anna experienced when they were there. And so this was a big part of the research. I also visited Geneva, where the Dostoyevskys gave birth to, Anna gave birth to her first child in the spring, late winter of 1868. And then that child died a few months later. And I visited the grave of the daughter. It was a devastating moment in the Dostoyevsky's life. It was on his first child. Dostoyevsky had profound dreams of having a family of his own, and the child died tragically. And the grave is still there, and I actually tracked it down. I had it's part of a cemetery with a lot of very famous people. On Dostoyevsky's daughter's grave is not one of the more famous ones, but I had a guy who worked there who spent several hours helping me identify the grave. And it was just moments like that, or moments like actually smelling the odors, the fresh odors that wafted from the waters of Lake Geneva with the snow-capped mountains in the background, just gave me a sense of what this town Geneva meant to Dostoyevsky's, what it felt like to them. It was a place of respite. It promised respite, but in the end, it delivered tragedy.